How's it going, Yankee fans? Welcome back to Fireside Yankees with your boys, Alex and Ryan. So today we're talking about a young pitcher who's rising through this Yankee farm system at an astronomical pace. And my friends, I think you're going to be really excited about this kid. I think you're going to see what we see in this youngster in terms of what he could do for this Yankee team in the future. He profiles as a really good starting pitcher. He went from high A, where he kicked ass, and he dominated Double A Somerset. Guys, Double A is considered the most difficult step in the minor league system, going from high A to Double A. And what Drew Thorp, who we're going to talk about today, what he's done in Double A is nothing short of miraculous. Guys, a lot of our pitching prospects, think about Clark Schmidt, Johnny Brito, some of these younger guys between the ages of about 24 and 27 years old. What if I told you Drew Thorp is 22 years old? What if I told you he's one of our youngest arms in the farm system, and he's already looking like he could potentially make his MLB debut in 2023, or rather 2024. So I'm excited to see what he has the rest of, I guess he's kind of shut down for the year. He just was placed on the 7-day IL, so he's probably done for this season. But I'm excited to see what he can do next year as he probably gets elevated to AAA, Scranton, and maybe transitions over to the MLB. But Ryan, what are you thinking about Drew Thorp, and how are you doing today, my friend?
It is an excellent day to be a Drew Thorp fan. On July 18th, 2022, I said kind of a hot take. I think with the way the Yankees develop velocity and the current present command tools that Drew Thorp possesses, we'll look back on this draft with him being a top 3 arm in the draft. His command is stellar with above average stuff. Oh man. And right now he looks like a top 3 pick or top 3 arm in that draft. I think that this guy is really, really good. We brought in on a podcast doing a side, Caught Looking. We brought in Jared Seiler from Baseball Prospectus, and he talked about just how good Drew Thorp's changeup was. And he was telling us if we had public data on that changeup, we think it's special. And, you know, I got to get a glimpse at some college data on his changeup when he was drafted. That changeup, it's a weird pitch, man. Like, it doesn't, you would think it's like a big dropping pitch. It's not. The big thing is the velocity separation. It's a unique pitch, man. Like, there aren't a lot of changeups like it, and because of it, he's been remarkable. I mean, he had a 21% swinging strike rate. That's insane. At Double A, like, that's ridiculous. On the season, I think it's like 18 point something percent. I know he leads all of minor league baseball in that metric. Here's the thing. When you get whiffs, and when you get a lot of whiffs, that makes you a really good prospect. When you get a lot of whiffs, typically you see, like, Spencer Strider gets a lot of whiffs. Well, you know, maybe, you know, he gets hit hard sometimes. He'll give up some home runs, whatever it may be. That's not Drew Thorp. Drew Thorp has a ground ball rate, I think, at or above 50%. I'll double check the exact number right now.
It's 52%, I believe.
Yeah, he's a ground ball specialist. Like, that's what he does. He goes out and he keeps the ball on the ground, and that's amazing. And then he pitches deep into games. He had one start, and it was his most recent start where he was pulled because of minor discomfort in his non-throwing shoulder. They said it wasn't, you know, anything bad. It was precautionary, so I'm not too concerned. If we see him in the postseason, you guys should check out Fireside Yankees because his first start will likely be in Binghamton, and I will be there to watch it and film it, so I got you guys. But Alex, it's hard not to be excited, right? Like, I think Matt Blake said this. It's like when a guy makes a jump like that to Double A and pitches the way he did, it's hard not to notice. The question is, can Drew Thorp start for the Yankees in 2024? It's not, can Drew Thorp make a factor? Like, can the Yankees, like, look at him as a potential starter down the road at some point? Yeah, obviously. But can he come out of camp and do it? I think he could. Like, if the Yankees make a fair, like, 5th starter battle in spring training, he's a candidate to win that job. I think Michael King would be the favorite because, you know, he's already at the major league level. He's pitched pretty well. But, like, if you ask me, like, Johnny Brito, who's been really good out of the bullpen but has question marks as a starter. Vasquez, same situation. Good in short relief, not as much in 5-6 inning roles, or hasn't proven to be that yet. You know, you have Will Warren, you have Clayton Beater. I'm taking Drew Thorp. Like, I'm taking Drew Thorp all the way. Drew Thorp is money right now, man. He throws strikes, he gets whiffs, he keeps the ball on the ground. And Alex, I mean, here's the big thing. Like, when's the last time the Yankees have had, like, a pitching prospect that has been this dominant and been really this highly touted across the board? We're not just, like, talking about, like Ben Rice is a cool player, but, like, you don't view, he's not a consensus top 100 prospect. He's more of, like, a guy that we know is pretty good and we're hoping the public catches on to. Drew Thorp, everybody knows Drew Thorp is good now. Like, this guy feels like he's legit. Maybe I'm overthinking it here, but overall, like, Alex, what do you think is that ETA for him? Because I think he could do it out of camp next year. I don't think he will because I think they'll take it slow, but, like, when do you think is a realistic timeline to see him next year? Or if it is next year?
I think that we definitely could see him next year depending on the injuries that pop up, and they always do. But I kind of see them utilizing Drew Thorp in a similar way to Randy Vasquez and Johnny Brito, just easing him in. You know, I think that ultimately there's going to be a lot of mouths to feed. The bullpen is very strong. You have a couple of middle inning relief, like those kind of volume inning guys in the middle of the game that like Johnny Brito, that can fill in and perform well over 3 innings or so, give you some long relief. I think Vasquez has a little bit of work that needs to be done. He's a little bit behind Brito, as we talked about the other day. But I think Drew Thorp enters the fold here and immediately competes with those two guys for innings. Maybe he gets a few spot starts. If there's a couple injuries that pop up, which they, like I said, they always do, I think it's good to have a pitcher of that caliber waiting in the wings, ready for an opportunity. He'll be 23 years old next year, guys. For example, Clark Schmidt is 4 years older than him. He'll be 4 years. He'll be 28 years old next year. He'll actually be 5 years older than him. So it's pretty impressive to see that, what Drew Thorp is accomplishing at such a young age gives the Yankees a lot of flexibility for the future and what they can actually do. I think Brito is kind of refining his quality out. Maybe he won't ever be a starter, but maybe he can be a long innings relief guy. Drew Thorp can be a legitimate starter. He could be a top 3 rotation guy for this team. Now, if you're the Yankees and you're thinking we could build something special here in the rotation, you're thinking about, we still got Garrett Cole, who's about to win a Cy Young award. You have Carlos Rodon, who, if he comes back and pitches well, is an ace, a left-handed ace. And then you have a guy like Yoshinobu Yamamoto, who they're increasingly showcasing interest. They're publicly lauding this man. They love him. The question is, are they going to spend the money on him? So if they go out and get Yamamoto, and you have a Cole, Rodon, Yamamoto rotation, on paper, that looks phenomenal. Behind him, you have Michael King, who's kicking absolute ass. He looks like he's an ace right now, the way he's been performing the last month. And then you look at Clark Schmidt, who, we hope can take a big step forward. He's had a couple really good performances this year. A little bit polarizing at times, but has otherwise been promising. There's optimism regarding Clark Schmidt. He has a really good repertoire. It's more about just command. And I feel as though there's a lot of hope that he could become something great, at least good. And then you have behind him, then you have guys like Drew Thorpe, and you're like, okay, and I even mentioned Nestor Cortez. If he comes back and gives you 2022 version Nestor Cortez, you have another all-star in this group here. Again, it's all on paper. We've fallen for this trap before and like, whoa, on paper, this unit is ridiculous. But what I like about some of these arms is that they're a little bit more durable than the guys we've had in the past. Luis Severino is the epitome of an injury waiting to happen. Frankie Montas has also been really injury-prone. Rodon is injury-prone at this point. Yamamoto, after this season, will have pitched 170 innings for the 3 consecutive years, including 190 the last 2 years. So his durability is evident. Garrett Cole is the epitome of durable. So I feel as though this team has the opportunity to go out and get these arms in place, and at least 50% of them are guys that you can trust. Think about all the arms this year we couldn't trust. Cortez is injury prone this year. Rodon, Luis Severino had a couple issues. You obviously have Montes, who missed the entire season. You couldn't trust these guys. They're all guys that have long injury histories. Yamamoto doesn't have that. Drew Thorpe doesn't have that. I feel pretty confident that these guys are going to make a vote. I mean, aside from Michael King's one kind of elbow injury, he's been relatively healthy his career. So I feel as though I think that we're trending in the direction of a little bit more durability in the starting rotation. But Drew Thorpe could fill that back end spot. He could end up sneaking in. But if there is an injury to any of those guys, who do you think gets the first call up? Do you think Brito's the first guy up, or how many guys do they have to get through before you're like, okay, Thorpe's the guy that's going to be getting those opportunities? Does it have to go Brito, Vasquez, Will Warren, or are you skipping some of those guys in between?
I mean, we saw them do it with Volpe, right? Like when Volpe came up and Peraza was the guy, like on paper, it was him and also Cabrera. Like people forget this. Entering 2023, the 2 most accomplished infield rookies the Yankees had were Oswaldo Cabrera and Oswald Peraza, not Anthony Volpe. But he was the better prospect, so they went with him. I'm not saying that Thorpe is going to break camp with the team. I'm just saying I think he could. But if you look at just the list of arms the Yankees have, Mitch Spence, you're going to look at the ERA and say 4.50. That's not good. In AAA, the average ERA is 5.25. And over his last 14 starts, it's 3.90 with a 25.8% strikeout rate. That's pretty good. He has a 110.8 stuff plus. I think that's one of the 5 or 6 best marks among starting pitchers in AAA. So he has good stuff. He's the type of guy the Yankees like. Got a good sweeper, got a strong sinker. You have, obviously, Randy Vasquez, Johnny Brito, Drew Thorpe, Will Warren, Clayton Beater, right? And that's all the guys that are backing up Cole, Cortez, Rodon, Schmidt, and King. So we're talking what? I mean, I'm going to count again. That's... We have 11 guys who can make major league starts that at least next year. And I'm not counting Chase Hampton. I'm not counting Richard Fitz because neither of them have pitched in AAA and neither of them were as dominant as Drew Thorpe was. So I don't want to say that they would just be able to make a major league start tomorrow and succeed. But if you want to, let's say like, okay, Richard Fitz has a good off season. He has a good spring training, starts the year off in AAA. All those things are highly likely. Same thing happens with a guy like Chase Hampton at some point next year. Now we're up to 12. 13, maybe even 14 if another guy comes out of nowhere and makes great starts at the higher levels of the minors. That's the big difference between this year, what next year's pitching staff could look like, and what the second half pitching staff looks like versus what it looked like earlier in the year, or what it looked like to start the season, which is they have depth now, Alex. They have guys who you can compete at the major league level. You have a plethora of them. That's the work of Sam Breen. That's the work of Matt Blake. And you know, I know that this is kind of deviating from the conversation a little bit, but you hope the Yankees install those same, levels, or that same quality of development on the hitting side of the ball, because we're seeing it with the pitching, right? Like, they pump out. I mean, Johnny Brito has a 1.29 ERA, or 1.24, ERA as a reliever. He's been ridiculous. He develops a sweeper in season, and it's a great pitch, right? Like, that's excellent work. That is excellent work by the organization. It's an excellent job by the pitching development. It's an excellent job by the pitching coaches. They are paying attention. They're always adapting. They're always having these guys change and transform and get better and improve their arsenal. So I have faith that they'll find 5 guys. They'll find 5 guys to fill in that rotation. I don't know who it'll be. I don't know if it'll change mid-season. I don't know if it'll change month to month. I don't know who's going to stay healthy. I don't know who's going to get hurt. But all I know, Alex, is that in their organization, they're always going to have at least 5 guys who can make competitive major league starts. And that's the big thing for me going forward for the future of this organization, because it allows them to spend more on the offense. You might not have to buy on a Yamamoto if you have Drew Thorp pan out, right? Like, that is a thing you can talk about. I'm not saying that Thorp is on the same caliber as Yamamoto as a prospect, or Yamamoto's not a prospect, he's a professional, but I'd rather have Yamamoto than Thorp. But, you know, you can kind of ease those pitching concerns and focus more on the offense. And I mean, Alex, the trend of playing pitchers and trading for pitchers, really, outside of Garrett Cole, who's the investment that the Yankees have made pitching wise? They're like, yeah, I'm glad we made that one. These guys all get, like, injuries are up, man. Like, it feels like every other week another guy's getting Tommy John surgery, not just in our organization, but across the league. It's not to compare it to the running back situation, but I feel like we're going to hit a point in time, Alex, where starters aren't pitching deep enough into games and they're getting hurt too much for teams to reliably pay these guys. I mean, by the time they're, 28, 29, 30, they've got at least one Tommy John surgery. They're a massive risk to have another. Like, you don't want to invest big time money in them. So if you can develop starting pitching, that's going to help you a lot. So I don't know if that is a hot take or not, but Alex, I think the development of the pitching helps you with the offense, and that's where the Yankees need all of their help right now, man.
It's just keeping costs down. You know, we kind of know this, though, looking at some of the rookies or even the youngsters on this team right now. We kind of need them to step up next year. Somebody's going to have to step up. Jason Dominguez, obviously, he's a long-term piece here. Everson Pereira, we're hoping he can, take on a big role. Austin Wells, Oswald Peraza is raking. Oswaldo Cabrera is on fire since the All-Star break. There are players here that are showcasing they can be long-term assets to this team. We need them because ultimately it's going to keep costs down at multiple key positions. And if you can save money elsewhere, you can spend big in other places. So if you're the Yankees, you're praying to God these youngsters pan out, some of these pitching prospects pan out, notably Clark Schmidt, notably Drew Thorpe, Will Warren, Johnny Brito can help a lot. The bullpen, Ian Hamilton I don't know if you guys know this, Ian Hamilton's under control until 2029. He's one of our best bullpen arms right now. Like, that is, just excellent finds. Matt Blake, man, he has done just sickening work when it comes to finding these elite bullpen arms out of nowhere. It's the starting rotation that has fallen apart, mainly due to injury, and it's unfortunate, the investments that they've made. But those small gems, man, they got some scouts, some really low-key scouts doing some unbelievable work for those guys. So I'll tell you what, I'm optimistic about this pitching rotation. I think they can put it back together and they can find more durable options here. But I do think Drew Thorpe is going to be an impact player for us sooner rather than later. But guys, I'd love to hear your perspective below in the YouTube comments. Make sure to like and subscribe as always, and we'll catch you guys on the next Fireside Yankees episode.